Welcome back to Growing Money with Sean Trace. Now, this is one of my little special extra episodes that I'm putting up for you guys, that I'm talking a little bit about financial parenting and how to express some of these ideas to your kids. And we, in my house, are big fans of Harry Potter. We are big fans of the wizarding world, and we just recently finished watching all of the original 8 movies, and we watched them together, and it was such a great experience. And it was something that I really enjoyed because I was able to teach my daughter some great concepts about money from Harry Potter. There was something that was interesting, is that one of the things that you notice in the book series is there's a world in crisis. You know, you've got Voldemort who's coming back, who is creating havoc in the whole world. But one of the things that's really interesting in the Harry Potter series, and that I really enjoy talking about and looking at with the wizarding world, was like they have their vaults at Gringotts. And so these magical vaults that they kept all of their gold in. And this was one of the cool things for Harry, and one of the things that I loved in book number 1, and this is one of the reasons I'm trying to work on writing my financial ship for my daughter. There's a great scene where Harry goes into his vault for the first time in the first movie. And he opens up this vault after a life that was difficult, all of these challenges, and he opens up his vault. And Hagrid looks at him, and Harry's like, I'm rich. I have all this gold. And his parents, and Hagrid said, you didn't think your parents left you with nothing, did you? And what's really interesting to me was that there's this idea of 2 really important concepts. One is that the family set aside this child with the insurance. This looks like a life insurance type of policy to take care of their child in case that they met their eventual demise. It's powerful because, like, for us in the human world, the vault is where you can store money for important things and for emergencies, just like how the wizards would keep their galleons safe. Now, we can look at some reasons this is important, and this is some stuff that I was communicating to my daughter. First of all, one of the reasons that it was important to have your own vault of gold is for unexpected expenses. You know, I told my daughter, I said, Ilani, well, Daddy, why do they have all these vaults of gold? Well, in case something happens. Like, let's imagine that you're a wizard, and sometimes a wizard needs to buy a new wand. And she's like, yeah. I said, you remember Harry? He broke his wand. Yeah. Or maybe a broomstick gets smashed, like it happened to Harry. Yeah. Well, Harry had all of the gold in his vault, so he could just go down to Gringotts, get some gold out, go over to Ollivander's, or go to the broom shop and say, you know what, I need to get that. And because he was prepared, because there was money, because his parents helped him prepare, there was money in the vault, and he was able to do that. Now, if you plan ahead, if you're setting stuff aside, then you're better off. And so I said, Ilani, what do you think that you should do? She's like, well, I probably should be saving some money. And I said, you and Daddy and Mommy both. It's really important for us. And she's like, well, what's another reason, Daddy, we should do this? And I said, good question. I said, because it can help us achieve our goals. Now, if you want something special, maybe you've got those horrible old magic robes like Ron, and you've got something nice. You've got this big, classic, big school ball coming up. You want to buy a new outfit. You want to look more like Harry, less like Ron. Now, or maybe you want to go on a magical trip to explore the magical plants of Hawaii. Sounds pretty magical to me. Now, you can't do that if you don't save. Or you're going to be borrowing, and that's not good. You don't want to borrow in the magic world, because borrowing has all types of negative things that come along with it. So we want to save up for these magical things in our lives. And my daughter's like, so like, if I want to buy a new game for my Nintendo Switch, I said, okay, so what should we do? She's like, well, if I save up, I'll have enough money to buy that. I said, exactly. You get some money for your birthday. We can put that aside. You have some allowance for Mommy and Daddy for doing things around the house and working on your YouTube channel. Yes. So you can spend that really fast, or we can save it and use it for something bigger in the future. And she was like, I think I'm going to save it. I said, well, that is a great idea. And she said, well, Daddy, are there any other reasons to have a magical bank account? And I said, there are. And she's like, what is it? Well, it said it can build responsibility, like keeping track of your galleons or dollars, in our case, teaches you responsibility. It's like knowing, like that's like how all the goblins manage the gold at Gringotts. You know, they're all up there counting the numbers and aware of how much gold is in every vault. Now, if you're not being responsible and you're just spending all your galleons too fast, then you don't know how much you have. And when an emergency comes, you won't have enough galleons to handle it. She's like, oh, that's bad. I said, that's really bad. Let's imagine that you have a big Quidditch tournament tomorrow. And she's like, okay, I would love to play Quidditch. And I said, well, yeah, we don't have Quidditch in real life, but you do painting, right? Yeah. I said, well, what if one of your paintbrushes breaks? And she's like, well, I won't be able to do my art class. I said, exactly. Now, if you're not being responsible, then you spend all your money, you don't have enough for an art brush, then you'll miss your art classes until you have enough money. She's like, I don't want to do that. I said, exactly. So we got to save up. We got to set things aside. And she says, and I said, Ailani, if your art brush was broken and you couldn't do your art class, how would you feel? She's like, I would feel stressed. I said, yes. Now, when we save up those galleons, you don't have to worry when bad things or surprises happen. It's like having a protection spell. Protego Maximus. Protego Maximus on your money. Protego Maximus. You sit there and you cast your Protego Money Maximus. And then you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry because you might not have... I'm going to keep my wand handy. You might not have magical spells in real life, but you can prepare for the future. And one of the things that you can do is have your savings account. You have all that money set aside, and it's there ready for you, and it's working for you. And she's like, that is amazing. And she's like, Daddy, I think I'm getting this. I was like, okay, so tell me what you think you understand. And she says, well, I think money, the savings, can help you in case of an emergency or something bad happening. Yeah, like if my broomstick breaks, it's like, exactly. Or I need extra supplies. I said, yes. Like what supplies might you need? She's like, well, maybe paintbrushes or paper or a pen for school. I said, exactly. And she said, you know, if I have, she's like, I know I don't have galleons or a Gringotts bank. I said, I know you don't have that, but what can you have? She's like, well, I've got my piggy bank. And I said, yeah. And I said, and we can open you a bank account, a real bank account that can hold your money. And she's like, Daddy, I would like that. I said, all right, we're going to do it. Now, it made me feel really happy, and it really even more happy because the next day she came up to me and she said, Dad. I said, yes, Ailani. And she's like, what are some different ways that I can save? I said, well, you get an allowance, right, for making your Ailani's Little World videos? She's like, yes, I do. I said, well, you normally spend most of that. Mommy will take you to the arcade or Daddy will take you to the bookstore and you'll buy things and all that money's gone. And she said, yeah. She's like, well, I want to get things. I said, well, yeah, you can, but maybe what if we set aside 50% of that or 70% of that? So you still get to do some fun things. You still get to go to the arcade, but we're putting part of that money straight into your savings account. So it can be there for later in case you have a problem. She said, oh, that's pretty cool. And I said, well, you know how you go up to Grandma's room and Grandma will give you a candy when you do homework, right? And she said, yeah, I like that candy. I said, well, what if you told Grandma to give you a quarter or $1 every time you finish your homework? And she's like, oh. I said, we can't try to get Grandma to bribe you, but maybe instead of the candy, you can switch it for $1. And she's like, I love that idea. I said, okay, try that out. And she's like, hey, I've got another idea. I said, well, what's your idea? She says, every Lunar New Year and every Christmas and every birthday, people give me money. I said, now you're starting to get it. And she's like, could I put part of that money in my bank account? I said, yes, you can. She's like, I want to do this. And I said, you know what's another fun way? She's like, what's that? And I said, you know, we give you a little bit of money every day for school, right? And she said, yeah, for if I need things from the cafeteria. I said, do you spend that all the time? She's like, no, sometimes I don't. I said, well, we're always going to give you that money every day. what if when you have extra, we come home and we put it in the piggy bank? And she says, then I would start saving up a lot of money. I said, yes, you would. And I said, well, there's another thing too. And she's like, what is it? Now she's getting excited. Now she's like, tell me. And I'm like, I'm creating a monster right now, but it's a good monster. I said, well, we can skip small treats now and then put that money toward your savings account so we can get something bigger later. She's like, so like today I can go play 1 video game, but if I save up in a week, I can go play 4 video games. I said, exactly. That's the power of savings. She's like getting it. And I'm sitting there terrified that I'm creating a monster. Probably a little bit. And we created a game. We created a game where I gave her different money for doing different things. You know, so I said, okay, you get 2 galleons for going out and cleaning your room. You get 1 galleon for finishing your homework. You get 3 galleons for making a video. And she was like, oh my goodness. And I printed up little fake gold pieces and laminated them. And then she was able to exchange the galleons for money. There was a pretty good currency exchange there. But what it did was it made a concept much more understandable. Like, she understands and loves Harry Potter. She loves the magical world. And when she watched the scene where Harry went in and she saw the treasure chest, the golden vault that he had, this room that was filled and stacked high with gold, she said, I want that. And I want my daughter to believe that she can achieve that. And I want her to feel like it is a possibility. It is something that is uniquely possible for her. But I have to set that up so she believes she can achieve it. And I can do that by teaching her about galleons and saving. So I hope you guys feel inspired and get out and go and work on your own galleons today. What things can you do to save up and start creating your vault of gold? Whatever it is, hope you guys have fun. I'll see you guys next time.